Hello, welcome back students. In this tutorial we're going to look at Python lists. Okay, now there are 4 collection data types in Python programming language, or sequence data types in Python programming language. We have the list, the tuple, we have the set, and dictionary. Now a list is a collection which is ordered and changeable. In other words, it allows duplicate members. Okay, but a tuple is a collection which is ordered and unchangeable. All right, it also allows duplicate members. Now we have a set which is a collection which is unordered and unindexed, and it doesn't have duplicate members. We have a dictionary, which is a collection which is unordered, changeable, and indexed, but it does not have duplicate members. So when you are choosing a collection type, it is useful for you to understand the properties of that type, because choosing the right type for a particular data set could mean retention of meaning, and it could mean an increase in efficiency and security. So in this tutorial we are going to be concentrating on the list data type, and after that we'll go further to look at tuples in another video, set in another video, and then dictionaries. Okay, like we said, a list is a collection which is ordered and changeable. In Python, lists are written with square brackets. All right, what we mean is that for us to create a list in Python, we can say the list of, let's call it students names. Okay, so we are going to have it in square bracket. The first person can be Mark, John, John, Jane, what am I doing? And yeah, Kate. Okay, so if we want to print this list, we are simply going to come and say print. Are we printing student names? Okay, we run the program. We are going to see the name printed: Mark, John, Jane, Kate. Now, how do we access these names? You access it by referencing the index position. Now, just to remind us that indexing in Python starts with index 0. In other words, Mark is 0, John is 1, Jane is 2, and Kate is 3. Whereas the length, when you want to calculate the length, you are starting from 1. You have 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So to know the last indexing that we will have in a list, we are simply going to check the length of the array, or the length of the variable -1. Okay. Now, if we want to print Mark, we are simply going to say print. We'll call the variable name and then pass in the 0 index, and we are going to get Mark. If we change it to 3, we are going to get Kate. Okay, so we have Kate. That is how we access items in a list. There is also negative indexing when you begin to access from the right towards the left, but the default indexing is from left towards the right, and it starts from 0. But if we are indexing from right towards the left, you know there is no negative 0, so we start with -1. So if we want -1, we are going to get Kate. Okay, so and so on and so forth. Then one can specify a range of indexing by specifying where to start and where to end. So when specifying a range, the return value will be a new list with the specified items. All right. Now, if we say we want indexing, let me quickly add other names here. Let's say David. We'll have Mario. Okay. Now, if we want to print indexing 1 and we put colon, what it means is that it's going to start from indexing 2 and then the rest of the things that are to the right of it. So if we print this now, we are going to get from Jane, Kate, David, and Mario. Okay. Now, if we put another ending indexing here, let's just say we have 4. That's 2, 4. We are going to start from Jane, which is 2, 3, 4. Okay, so if we look at it now, we're going to get Jane, Kate. Now, what it means is that the first one is inclusive and the second one is not inclusive. So we have 1, 2, have 1, 2, or 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now, what we printed is 2. So we have 0, 1, 2. That is Jane. Now, Kate is 3. David is supposed to be 4. So, but it's not included in the list. Okay. So when we are printing a range, the search will start at the first indexing included and end at the last indexing not included. And we will always remember that the indexing starts from 0. Now, if peradventure we said, let's remove something from this and then we get to 4, what it means is that we are going to start from 0 and then to indexing number 4, still not included. All right. So when we print this, we have Mark, John, Jane, Kate, and David and Mario are not included in the list. Okay. Now, if we are talking about negative indexing, we remember that if we want negative indexing, what are we going to do? We can, if we say we want from here, we are looking for, this is indexing number -1. So we can say this is -1, and then this is indexing number 1, 2, 3, 4, -4. So let's look at -4 and this and see what is going to print out for us. So if we run this program now, we are going to get Jane, Kate, David. Now Mario is not included. All right, Mario is not included, but the last one is included. Okay, which is Jane. All right, so we can as well change the value of a specific item, okay, by referring to the index of that item. Now, if we have let's say indexing number 1, which is John, and we say set this indexing to James. Okay, now let me copy it out. Let me say let's find X is set to okay, we set this index into this. So if we print this again, what are we going to get? We are going to get James. Now if we print the student names again, we are going to also get a new list. We are going to get a new list with John changed to James. Let's run the program and see. Okay, so that's indexing number 1 is now changed to James here, and our new list now reads James in place of John. Okay, we can as well loop through a list. We can loop through a list, though we are not yet doing we are not yet at for loop, but we can say we want to loop through student list. So we can say for maybe name in student names, what are you going to have? Print. Let's now print name. Okay, so if we run this program, it's going to print for us the individual lists. Okay, so we have Mark, James, Jane, Kate, David, and Mario. Okay, that's how we can loop through a list. We can as well check to determine if an item is present in a list by using the in operator like we discussed. Now we can say, let me clean up this so we can have space. Okay, we can say if, now what am I looking for? If John, now say if John in student names, print for us. Yes. Otherwise, if John is not in student names, print for us. Not in list. Okay, so we run the program, we say yes. Now, if we say, let's talk about grow. Okay, we want to check if it's in student names. So if we run the program, it's going to show us not in list. Okay, we can as well look for or check the length of the name, just like we check the length of the list, the number of items in the list, just like we did when we're dealing with strings. Okay, so we can say print for us the length of student names. So if we run this program, we're gonna get, we have 6. Okay, another operation we can perform on a list is to add an item to the list. So we can simply add an item to a list by using the append method. So we are going to call the name of the list, and then we pass the append method on it, and as an argument we can append the name we want to append. Let's say Michael. And when we've done that, we can print a new student list again. Okay, so if we run this, we're gonna see Michael at the end. Now, what if we come to this place and we specify an indexing position and we run the program again? Sorry, I made a mistake. Okay, so that is how you can append. The append function adds to the last name in the list, but we can as well use the insert method to actually insert to a particular position. So I can say insert to position number 2, and what you are going to insert for me is Adeze. So if I run the program again, I'm going to see Adeze at the index position 2. Remember, we no longer have a Michael. Okay, so that is how you add, insert elements. You can remove element also from a list by using the remove method, and when you type the remove method, you are going to indicate the particular item you want to remove from the list. So if we want to remove Adeze again and then print name, so if we run this program again, we are supposed to, where is the mistake? Where is the mistake? Okay, sorry, the Adeze is not in the list. I should have done that down here. So let's try to remove what we are seeing on the list. Say mark. Okay, so let's check. We'll now see that in the new list that's been populated for us, the name mark is no longer there. So we can pop out. When we talk about popping out, we are actually removing from the top of the list. So if we say pop, now the pop does not take a particular argument, because it's going to take from it's going to remove the last item in the list. So if we run this program, we are going to get without Mario. We're going to get a list without Mario in it. Okay, another method, another operation we can perform on a list is deleting. Now, when you want to delete, you are going to specify. The delete keyword removes the specified index. So we are going to call a delete method on the actual lists, the name of the list, and then we specify maybe you want to delete Kate, which is at the index position 3. And when we do that, I'm going to put the delete keyword before it. And when we do this, we can run the program again to notice that Kate is no longer there. All right, that's deleting. Okay, now if you don't specify an index, you will simply delete the entire list. And you also have the clear method that you can call over the list method. So if let's just say clear, if we call the clear method on this, okay, let's remove this delete. If we call the clear method on this and we try to print this thing, what we are going to get is nothing. It's an empty list. Okay, so this signifies a list without anything inside of it. Okay, now we can copy a list, but you cannot copy a list by simply assigning the list to another list. For instance, we have the list student names. We can say, okay, we have the list student names. We can say, let's copy these names to S name. We are simply assigning it. In other words, any change we make on this list will still appear on this one. Okay, so if we really want to make a copy of a list and then we perform some operation on the list itself, we are going to call the copy method off of that list. So instead of doing this simply, we are going to simply do copy. Okay, call the copy method. So we have two different lists in operation now. For instance, we can say print, I want to print student names. and then we can as well print s name. Okay, now if we print it, at the moment it's going to give us the same thing. If we run it, we have the same thing. Now if we perform an operation of this, for instance, if we now see s name, or rather, okay, if we now see s name dot append, and I say append Grace. If we run this program again, we are going to see Grace on the s name list. So whatever we are doing here is going to appear in the other place. But if I remove this copy method here, and then I have this, I simply assign this to this. So if I run this program again, I'm still going to get now if I run the program again, what am I having? This thing is actually just a mirror of the other one. Okay, so whatever I do in one get copied, get appeared in the other one. So another way to make a copy of list is to use the built-in list method. And when you use the list method, you are simply going to pass that list, the first list you want to copy in another, as an argument. So you can as well do something like this. All right, so we have two different lists now. This one is a copy of this one, and so whatever we do in this one, we are simply doing it on that copy and not on the and the thing is not a mirror image of the other. So if we decide to run the program, we're gonna get as we got before. Okay, then we can as well join two lists together. We can join two lists together. Let's assume we have the list of student names, and I now want to have the list of student numbers, and I set it to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on and so forth. I set it to this. Now we can have the third list, which we can term list 3, to be a combination of list 1 and list 2. So at this point in time, I'm going to use the concatenation operator to student numbers to join the two lists together. Okay, now with this, let's quickly print list 3. Okay, I have this now. Let me run the program, and I'm going to have this and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 added to it. That's how you can join two lists. And as well, another way to join two lists will be by appending all the items from list 1 into list 2. Okay, so that is it. Then we can use the extend method. We can as well use the extend method, which purpose is to add elements from one list to another. In other words, you are extending one list to another list. How do we achieve that? I have student names. Okay, I have this and this. Now I have list 3, or rather I'll just say student names. Off of that student names, I'm going to call an extend method, and I pass in the second list as an argument. Okay, so this has been extended to this. So if I print students names again, what am I going to get? Okay, is an extension now of the student name, which has added the second list to the list. Now, it's also possible to use the list constructor to make a new list. Okay, how do you use the list constructor to make a new list? Let's assume we want to create a new list. How do we do that? We can say, look at student names. I'm going to set it. Then I call off the list constructor. Inside of the list constructor, I can call forth a tuple. So in the tuple, which is an iterable object, I'm going to pass in a list of the names, which I may call Emeka, Chinwe, and Ada. Okay, with this now I can still use the print method to print student names. And if I run the program, I'm going to get Emeka, Chinwe, Ada. So that's one of the ways to print the to create a list using the list constructor if you don't use the square bracket method. So Python has a set of built-in methods that one can use on lists. We have the append method we looked at, we have the count, we have the copy, clear, extend, index, insert, pop, remove, reverse, sort. Okay? We bring it to the end at this point, and I'm going to see you in another lecture talking about Python tuples. Thank you very much.